Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
She said she has concussion symptoms. She didn't say she had a concussion. So I'm not going to say she has a concussion, because when I asked her a minute ago, she said, "Oh, no, ma'am, I have concussion symptoms." So
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Looking to the end zone, he's got a man. Touchdown, RJ.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Caught over the shoulder back at the 6 by Wilson. Throws it back across the field, where it's then juggled for a moment. And now the Cowboys are making a special teams play. Hurdling past, then all the way down to about the 10-yard line. It's Goodwin.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, it's just me today as far as on the set. Paul and Craig are both home. David Smoak, SicEm365 Radio. Both Jack McKenzie and Armstrong Sims were on the mothership here at 101 Elm Avenue. Armstrong, at some point, I wish we could take a picture of what you have on one of the flat screens, because that is like, it almost like it gives you the feeling that everything's okay. You know, it just kind of like, it's cold, it's nasty, it's wet, it's icy, and a lot of you, of course, have braved the weather wherever you are, and be careful. But if you're on your way home, please be smart wherever you might be. But I'm telling you right now, he's got on the flat screen. You'll see it in just a second. It is perfect for the day that we have. I have breaking news in local high school football, then also news when it comes to Baylor's football schedule. As you heard during Up-Tempo, they released the schedule. We'll go over that with you momentarily as well. But I just received word that Tyler Holcomb, the AD and head football coach at Riker Catholic High School in Waco, has resigned after 2 years. He led the Cougars to the state championship game this past season. They had many games, of course, delayed, postponed, canceled. But Tyler Holcomb has resigned as the AD and head football coach at Riker Catholic. I spoke with him momentarily. He has just informed his team that he might even take a little bit of time off. I have a feeling he could end up on somebody's staff. But after 2 years in a state championship game appearance against Shiner St. Paul, where they were beaten, Tyler Holcomb has resigned as the AD and head football coach at Riker Catholic High School. Again, Armstrong and Jack are both here. There's the picture. Now, the only thing better than that picture would be if that was real. But Armstrong, I came walking in just a moment ago, and I saw that. I'm like, oh, my God, I did not know we had a fireplace.
It would be nice if we had a fireplace.
Inside the studio. It looks fantastic, man. It really does. That just, doesn't that make you just feel like it's warm?
It does. It really does.
I think it does as well. Now, there's also a couple of other notes and news on various events. And I'd love to get your feedback, if you haven't already given it, when it comes to some of the events, as far as some of the events that are going on with games being canceled. For example, I think I saw where, is that right? The softball team has announced the cancellation of their season opener. I just saw that. I think Krista Pirtle just sent that out. So that's going on, and you can understand why, even though the event was going to be the event was going to be, what was it, Louisiana, I believe it was. Also, the women's basketball team, the games in which they had rescheduled, the season opening tournament has been canceled. Baylor softball against a home game. They'll open up against UT Arlington Wednesday of next week, February 17th. Also, the women's basketball games that had been postponed, they will now play and host Kansas State February 27th and play at Kansas on March the 6th. That just came down from Kyle Robarts as well when it comes to the Lady Bears in women's basketball. Still at this particular time, the men's basketball team with the 5 consecutive games that have been postponed. No word yet on the game with Oklahoma State that Mack Rhodes told us earlier in the week that was 50-50 on whether or not they were going to be able to play that game. Now, the football schedule, you don't have that as yes, you do. There you go. Great stuff, Armstrong. Here is the schedule in case you had not seen it. Armstrong, great job, you and Jack, with this. They open the year up on the road against Texas State down in San Marcos on September the 4th. Then they have a home game against Texas Southern. Now, there are 3 non-conference games, but normally, most of the time in recent years, last year, of course, was all whacked out, but most of the time you open up with your 3 non-conference games, if not every Power 5 team, but a lot of them do. But they have that game with Brigham Young that snuck into the middle of October. So in San Marcos to open up against Texas State, home against Texas Southern. They open up conference play again this year against Kansas, on the road in Lawrence, home against Iowa State, at Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and Brigham Young, back-to-back at home, a bye week, and then home against Texas. So that's 3 consecutive home games. And then they play at TCU, and it's every other week, Oklahoma at home, at Kansas State, Texas Tech at home. I'm going to tell you this. This is my 12th year of Baylor football next fall. You have Iowa State, who just played for the Big 12 title, plus Texas and Oklahoma at home. Brigham Young at home. And then you also have the Texas Tech game, which was neutral for a long, long time. That game is also at home as well. So that is the 2021 football schedule. Some of you have already responded to me on the text line, 254-339-1122. Here's from Scotty. My take on the Baylor football schedule is evenly distributed based on competition. My first glance would be no worse than 5-7 or 6-6, though it would be not a shock to me if Baylor won 8 games this season. Certainly helps to have time to work out the kinks in terms of the offense and the quarterback situation, beginning of the season. And, of course, you hope they'll be able to do that as well when it comes to spring drills and also much, much more. So that is the 2021 schedule. The number to call, 254-339-1122. And Armstrong and Jack, again, running the mothership. I'm going to fly solo with you today on the show. So we have the story about Tyler Holcomb is no longer the AD football coach at Riker. And then also there's the story that I just mentioned to you, the 2021 schedule as well. All right, Armstrong, you're going to handle the calls today.
Yes, I am. And we have T-Rex to start off the show. T-Rex, you're on.
Hey, guys. Hope y'all having a not too cold Thursday there in Waco. Hope you stay warm. Might have to get some SicEm365 Radio scarves and gloves made. There's a $1 million marketing idea for you. Real quick, I know y'all got a lot of stuff going on today, so I'll try to be quick. I love the schedule. I think it's very well dispersed. Like I think you mentioned there right as I was calling in. We get a chance to start off 3-0 and get a couple important conference games in before we play what's going to be probably a still very tough BYU team. So that's always good. It does kind of feel like the 2019 schedule in a way, and hopefully reflects that as the schedule, as the season goes on, and where we're back to that, going in pretty high on ourselves, playing some big dogs like Oklahoma, who's always going to be tough. But I do have one question for you, Smokey, and I just want to know, you have a few options this fall to host a pregame radio show from my tailgate on the road. So I'm giving you your options here. We got San Marcos, Lawrence, Kansas, we got Stillwater, and we got Manhattan, Kansas. You pick, just let me know, and I'll set it up for you. Sic'em Bears, because we're taking over every town this year. Let's go.
T-Rex, thanks for the call, 254-339-1122. Thanks for the call. If I had to do a home game, San Marcos is a party town, but that doesn't help me any with that. I have been to Lawrence. I have been to Stillwater. Obviously, we've been to Fort Worth many times, and I have been to Manhattan. So, and San Marcos, my oldest brother eventually got his degree at San Marcos, and I'd been to a couple of school games back when Jim Wacker was the head coach many years ago in the 80s. If I had to pick, I would say, again, Fort Worth's just a little hour and 15, 30-minute drive up the road, so that's not a big deal. Manhattan's kind of a nice, cozy place, and that's late in the year. That's a November 20th game, so the weather might be kind of chilly. Who knows what it might be like in November? I don't think any of those are, special. I don't think any of them are special. The fact that they're going to have They have Oklahoma, Texas, Iowa State, West Virginia, Texas Tech all at home, plus Brigham Young at home. This is one of the best home schedules Baylor's ever had that I can think of. Armstrong, you've been on campus yet. Can you think of another schedule at home that was better than this anytime recently? I can't.
I can't either.
Because their non-conference schedule, until now, when they start to play the Brigham Youngs, until they start to play the Utahs, until they start to play Auburn and some of those non-conference games, they just haven't had a lot of, zap to them. There's been SMU or there's been UT San Antonio, and of course some of those memories with Liberty and all the bad things that happened with the losses to some of those teams. Rice. There just hasn't been much oomph when it comes to non-conference games, which they've changed up starting this season. Jack, your thoughts as a student about what you see with this Baylor schedule, and also the fact I think this is one of the best home schedules I've ever seen.
I think it's pretty great. I mean, it would have been fun this year to be able to go to more games, and it's nice to see stuff coming back on campus, like the Texas Tech game. Honestly, I don't know why there's this trend to get big games like A&M and Arkansas. Why is that up in Arlington? So
well,
it's cool. It's cool to see something like Texas Tech Baylor come back to campus. I know it was back on Texas Tech campus last year, but it's cool to see it come back to Waco. Yeah,
and I think what happens is it kind of ran its course. It was pretty cool. They started out in the regular at the Cotton Bowl, and then they eventually ended up at AT&T Stadium. And there were some pretty good battles between those teams when it comes to that as well. And it kind of just ran its course. And I think that both the athletic directors, Kirby Hocutt and Mack Rhoades, said, you know what, let's kind of go back. Let's play at AT&T Jones Stadium in Lubbock. Let's play at home because of, it was kind of time to go back to playing those games on campus.
I like to see home and homes with high-powered teams. I mean, when you're playing in Cowboy Stadium, that's not college football to me. That's like a show for money. That's not college football. You need to be on campus, in my opinion, and that's when the best football happens anyway. The best atmospheres.
And here's one of the things we were talking about, and some of the things that Baylor has Oregon, Utah, Brigham Young, Auburn. Some of these are schools that they now have on their schedule for future games, home and home. They were going to play. They were going to play Ole Miss last year. Remember that game was going to be in Houston. And so that got wiped out because of COVID. That would have been a nice neutral site. Sometimes what you see, and then they were going to eventually, I think, play in Oxford. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But one of the things you get with the neutrals, like Arkansas and A&M, they have big fan bases, alumni. Baylor has a great alumni in both Dallas and Houston as well. But there's a different level of how many alums they have. So playing those games neutral in Dallas, Arlington, or in Houston sometimes makes more sense for those schools.
I still think you can pack more into Kyle Field than AT&T Stadium at this point. So,
well, yeah, you can, and that's where they ended up playing this year. They ended up playing that game. Didn't they end up playing that game? A&M and Arkansas was at Kyle Field.
Yeah, I think so. I feel kind of bad for Arkansas because they're not going to get one up in Fayetteville for a while.
Yeah, and so this is. I like. Give me your feedback on it. Again, 254. This is one. The Baylor football team actually changed it up last year because of the pandemic. They didn't get to play Mississippi State. It was Mississippi, not Mississippi State. It was Ole Miss, and which would have been also an interesting nugget or two before the game and during the game, maybe after the game, because Randy Clements and Jeff Levy on the Ole Miss staff. Let's go back to the calls.
Yeah, we got Baylor Bigfoot on the line.
Bigfoot, thank you. What are your thoughts about the schedule 2021 Baylor football?
Hello?
Yeah, Baylor, Bigfoot, go ahead. Your thoughts about the schedule.
Baylor Bigfoot. Double B to the phone. Long time caller, the biggest fan of SicEm365 Radio. Hey, I'm sorry I haven't called it this past week. I was teaching Bigfoot Jr. some valuable life lessons. Mainly, how not to run a radio show. So I had to put on and listen to the Matt Mosley show for the past couple of days. Let me tell you, it was difficult. But I think Little Bees knows now what not to do on interviews in the future when he's the second greatest collegiate football player of all time. Behind myself, of course. Listen, guys. I called in to see how y'all been and tell you that I am officially a billionaire after Little Beast convinced me to invest in GameStop, AMC, and Tesla. I tried to convince my former teammate and good friend RG3 to invest in it as well, but he didn't see the signs like Bigfoot Jr. With apologies to Double R Burgers, I won't be reading up the advertisement for them any longer as I am now mega wealthy. Another reason I'm calling in is to ask about the spring sports and whether or not they will have fans for Baylor. I really hope they do, so that I can be honored in front of a sellout crowd for being the best of all time for Baylor. Hey, guys, last thing. Did y'all catch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was at the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's awesome. Bigfoot Jr. and I were watching and want to congratulate the NFL GOAT, Tom Brady, but let him know it is tougher to be the college football GOAT, which I am. I was watching it with...
We lost Baylor Bigfoot, unfortunately.
Oh, boy. He's filled with passion, guys. T-Rex and Bigfoot to start the show. I don't know if we shouldn't just sign off and go home. More calls.
We have Statman now.
Scott, thanks for your time. Good afternoon, Statman on SicEm365 Radio. Appreciate the call.
Good afternoon, David. I wanted to talk a little Baylor Lady Bears basketball. They took care of business as expected against the Texas Tech Lady Raiders last night in Lubbock. I was impressed with Nalissa Smith. Typical double-double, but 28 points. At one point, she had more points than Texas Tech on the scoreboard during the third quarter, which was impressive. But everybody on the team scored except for Caitlin Pickell, so that was nice to see. And the Baylor Lady Bears have to keep winning right now because they're just one game ahead of the West Virginia Mountaineers, although two big games coming up at the Pearl Center against Texas Sunday and then against West Virginia next Wednesday night. So we'll know a lot more about where things stand in the Big 12 women's basketball standings after the Lady Bears play those two opponents.
Yeah, West Virginia is playing really, really well. I know they recently just beat Texas. Baylor, of course, has Texas on Sunday. And then the news yesterday, Scott, thanks for the call. Statman, thanks for the call, is that when Dee Richards went down and the worst possible thoughts maybe went through your head. I know Kim Mulkey said that it almost took her breath away, basically, because of what she suffered back before the year began with the collision involving Moon Ursin, where she had to learn to walk again. Remember, she felt almost like numbness, no feeling in the bottom part of her legs, and she got back from that. And Baylor, the women's basketball program, you look at back in from Melissa Jones in the collision with the court against Oklahoma. You had Christy Wallace in that shocking, all of a sudden, in a playoff game at home, a postseason game where she goes down. Lauren Cox against Notre Dame, but thank God they had a large enough lead to hold on and win that game, and among some others that they've had with players injured. And when Dee went down last night in that game, a blowout win against Texas Tech on the road, you're like, oh my goodness, here it goes again, because she's playing really well at the point. But she did not suffer, and according to Kim Mulkey, did you get any audio from Paul on this at all? From Kim Mulkey? Here's Kim Mulkey. We'll have this. We should have it here. So in a little bit. So I was a part of the post-game Zoom along with other members of the media that's available. Kim was there, and Nalissa Smith, who had another monster game, another double-double. So Kim Mulkey on Dee Richards.
Kim, any update on Dee? Looked like she took a pretty bad spill.
She said she has concussion symptoms. She didn't say she had a concussion. So I'm not going to say she has a concussion, because when I asked her a minute ago, she said, oh, no, ma'am, I have concussion symptoms. So
nothing with the back or spine?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thanks, Kim.
Kim, you mentioned that Dee said she had symptoms, but not the concussion. The fact that she came back in the game, is that, I'm not that back in the game, but came back out, how much does that mean that is she been cleared as far as concussion protocol?
Oh, Lord, I don't know, Smoak. I didn't even know she was over there until a few minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I saw her sitting over there. The only thing the trainer has told me during the game is that she's good. We're just going to check her for concussion. So my mom would get mad. I said ain't. Concussion protocol, from what I understand, is something that they do on a day-to-day basis. I don't think it's something that you can decide probably after the game, unless, I'm mistaken. But, concussions are, have protocols and all that stuff. But I'll talk to Alex more when we get on the bus heading to the airport.
One more thing. Are your bigs inside starting to play better defensively together, or is still a lot of improvement?
Well, you got to remember, Queen's role is changed significantly. she's now having to play. And in the past, she had Kalani and she had Cox. So every time that kid can get on the floor, I just think her athleticism, deflections, fronting, and doing those things, let's do what she does best on the defensive end. And I think the more she can play, the better she gets. I think that it's the same way with Hannah, and it's the same way with Pickell. The more they can get in there and in the heat of the moment, they get better. Melissa's role hasn't changed. The only difference, Melissa now has to guard more on the perimeter than she's had in the past. But, she accepts that challenge. She knows when she leaves Baylor, she's going to have to defend on the perimeter at the next level. And I just thought she did a tremendous job today on Gray. But then when she was defending on the perimeter, she didn't stay out there. She came back when shots were taken, and she got her, 8 defensive rebounds.
All right, so that's Kim Mulkey following the game. Armstrong, I'm sending you a text. Would you I'm going to see if you could possibly get Tyler on the show. I know we have Josh Lomer's coming up here momentarily. Let me see if I can get this to you. And would you just call him? This is kind of impromptu, and see if he's available to be a part of the show. Let me see here on the story we had just a minute ago. See if he's available just for a couple of minutes. I know he may not be able to say very much. So that's Kim Mulkey. But when Dee Richards went down, everybody had their collective breath gone. The good news is it wasn't her spine. It was not her back. It was not the neck. It was nothing that was a part of what happened at the collision with Moon Urson back before the year started. But the concussion protocol, when I asked her that as well, you got to go through various parts of it. The fact that she was back on the bench, she was smiling. She made a couple of the comments last night on her social media, on her Twitter page towards teammates. That, of course, is really good news with Dee Richards. They play Texas, of course, coming up on Sunday. So in just a moment, Josh Lomers, I had a chance to visit with the big center from back in the late parts of the first stretch of the Scott Drew era. He was a part of that Elite Eight team as well, a 7-foot center. He's now a part of radiology billing, and he's going to join us today at around 3:30. We're now joined by Tyler Holcomb. He's the AD head football coach at Riker. They were supposed to have their banquet tonight, and of course, because of the icy conditions, that has been canceled. But Tyler, also the breaking news that you have resigned as the AD and head football coach. What's going on?
Well, it's just we're expecting with our fourth child, and it's just probably time for me to move on and spend a little bit more time with the family.
Was this your decision?
Yes, sir. I resigned today.
Were you, by any chance, you came in, and Riker football has great history, Tyler. You took them to a state championship game. I know it didn't end the way you wanted, but St. Paul, Shiner St. Paul is a fantastic program. But you came in there, you have changed what they are, because it seemed like for almost a decade that Riker was somewhat dormant in football. Was there any kind of pushback with how you wanted to run the football program from what is up in the administration?
Well, I think that the administration now probably had a little different view of the direction of where the program wanted to go. But, there's a lot of fantastic people there, and they do a fantastic job, and we're very, very important in our success, throughout this year. So, I feel very fortunate to have had this opportunity and to have been part of the Bishop Riker family. And it's just, every chapter ends at some point. So, this one ended a little quicker than what I was hoping it would. But I'll tell you, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to get to spend a little more time with my kids and see what the future holds.
I have to ask you a follow-up, because you said it ended a lot quicker than you thought, which is obviously you resigned, but I'm being told that there is some sort of friction, the future of the program. Was it because they wanted to do something different? I mean, how would you want to do something different when you just went to a state championship game?
David, I'll be honest with you, man. I there's some of this is kind of up in the air for me as well. So I think that the decision was made with all the information, as much information as I have, and I think that the decision that was made is the right decision for all parties moving forward. And like I said, I look forward to spending this time with my kids and my wife, and seeing what the future holds. Hopefully, get to coach them some. So they're getting to those ages.
Yeah, I understand what you get to do now, and that's wonderful. I think that's fantastic. I know you also have coaching in your blood, and you've coached all over the country at times as well. You're going to be somewhat, for a lot of people, your name's going to be out there. You have been a hot commodity before as a coordinator. Do you think that by the start of the 2020 season or 2021 season, you'll be on somebody else's staff?
You never know. God has been very good to me, and he's opened a lot of doors and put a lot of really great people in my life. And so it's kind of like, I read that Grant Taft book a while back, and he said, don't go looking for your next job, because if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, your next job will find you. And so I put a lot of stock in that, and I believe in that. I think God's got a plan, and whatever that plan holds in the future, I'm going to be there willing to answer the knock at the door, and we'll just have to wait and see how things play out.
I want to say this while we still have you on, and I know it's kind of a tough day because you informed your team like in the last hour. When we were looking for opportunities to continue to do football during the playoffs, obviously we did Conley this year. A couple of the guys now on SicEm365, J.D. and Drake, were doing China Spring, and we also picked up a few others. Is the reason why we reached out to Riker was because of the energy you put into that program and what you had done to kind of make them relevant again. So I want to make sure that I say that to you, because we made that happen very quickly, and the support, of course, from Riker people and also businesses was amazing.
Well, David, I really appreciate that, man. But I had a lot of great people in my corner. One being Billy Overshone. Billy Overshone is our assistant head coach and our head track coach. He's first class all the way. Has been here with me for the past 2 years, and really took a leap of faith to come and join me. And he's become, one of my best friends. I mean, we talk, every day, and he's just a fantastic person. And so I'm very thankful for that time with him as well, and to get to know him. But he was a big part of bringing that energy as well as our other coaches, and my wife, of sacrificing time, and my kids, and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, this is one of those. It's a double-edged sword, because on my end, I love being around the kids. I love getting to coach. I love those types of things. But at some point, like I said, the doors close, and you just got to roll with it and move forward. And that's what I plan on doing. I'm going to make the very best of whatever that is that comes next.
Hey, man, we appreciate your time. We appreciated the access during the run to the state championship game. Appreciate you. Good luck, whatever has in your next chapter, whatever it might be, and enjoy that time that you have, a little downtime, and thanks for your time. You are going to finish out the semester, though, correct? Is that right, as the AD?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I plan on being there till I want to start what I finish. Okay. I finish what I start. All right, man. Thank you.
That's Tyler Holcomb. He has resigned as the AD head football coach at Riker. He'll finish out the semester. Had 2 years. This year's team, the record was only like 5-5 or whatever it was, but they played for a state championship. They got on a roll. They had an early season win against First Baptist Academy that kind of gave them the feeling that, hey, we're pretty good. And then they beat them again in the postseason. It was the end of the year win against Dallas Shelton that kind of launched them into the run to get. They had the huge win against Central Texas Christian School as well in the I think that was in the quarterfinals, and then lost to Shiner St. Paul in the championship game over at Panther Stadium at Midway. So the Baylor football schedule is out. We'll get more from you on the text and calls a little bit later on, and then also today at 4. Michelle Vopel covers college basketball, women's college basketball. She'll join us. It seems to be pretty wide open. Yeah, UConn just beat South Carolina. We've seen some upsets like Arkansas beating Baylor, Iowa State beating Baylor. We'll get her feedback on where it is right now, women's basketball. Also today, Mickey Spagnola at 4:30. We'll discuss that from DallasCowboys.com. Hall of Famer Gil Brandt today will join us at around 5 o'clock, and there's a good chance we re-rack and run the Mack Rhodes story, the interview we had with Mack Rhodes about mainly a lot of what's been going on with the men's basketball program. That could come up at around 5:30, but we might even get another guest before that as well. So coming up, he's one of the fan favorites in Baylor basketball. Josh Lomers next on SicEm365 Radio.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2020? Negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020. It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corp. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Josh Lomers, former Baylor center and also now radiology billing company in Longview, Texas, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. I put up that we were going to have you today on the show, and everyone said you gotta tip the show off with you because at your size, of course, that's the way it's supposed to start. How much do you get a chance to catch up on what Baylor's doing right now in men's basketball?
I definitely keep track of them. I don't get to watch every single game because I've got two kids right now, almost 3 and almost 4 and almost 2. So, I don't get to watch every game, but I definitely keep track of them. I follow them, and I know how we did on pretty much all of them as soon as of the next day.
Yeah, when you see what they're doing, of course, they've changed their style to go big. They have small ball because of the great guards, although inside they have some presence. When you watch what they've done now consistently year in and year out and where they are now, do you feel like that you kind of feel like you're part of setting that table when you arrived there back in the mid-2000s?
I definitely think the teams that that I played on definitely helped start the kind of growth of Baylor basketball as being a thing. Scott Drew came in and really started doing well, and we allowed for some of that to happen, and it makes it a lot easier to recruit great players when you have a few good seasons under your belt. So I like to think that the teams I played on definitely had a part in helping build this program to what it is.
Everyone knows that when you arrived there, they had just kind of started, I think it was their second or third year with scholarship players. Everyone knows the story about what Scott Drew, what he took over. What was it about Scott that you believed in what he could accomplish and also be at a program that was trying to completely rebuild everything?
I think there was a few things. I will admit that the school was a big part of that, just Baylor as a whole. I'm a academics first guy, always have been. Even back then, academics was I knew I was going to have a life after basketball, so I needed to have a good education, and Baylor was a big part of that. The coaching staff that he had there were great guys and great people. It was close to home, so I was one of those sentimental guys that didn't want to go too far and wanted my family to be able to come watch me play. But they had a mindset of really being able to grow, and they had the deep Christian attitudes that they kept within the program. Even a lot of the Christian schools don't necessarily have the level of Christian mindset within the athletics department that Baylor has kind of kept. So within the basketball program. So, that was a big part of it too.
Josh Lomers with us, SicEm365 Radio. I have one of the things that I noticed. I got here in June of 2010, but I was doing talk radio in Dallas when you guys made the run to the Elite Eight and eventually had that game with Duke. And even to this day, over a decade later, it's hard for Baylor fans to drop the emotions of the loss to Duke and the charge call. But I noticed there was a quote in a story with Jason King with SicEm365 back 7-8 months ago where you don't feel like that you guys got screwed. You just felt like, there's calls that happen and there's plenty of time to make up for them.
I don't think any one call changes the entire game. I definitely think that call was, changed some momentum and all of that, but any call can happen, and you have to be able to play through that. That's part of the game. So as far as getting screwed, I don't think about that. It did hurt to lose though, so that still lingers.
Why did that team have the run? And I know that the program had been peaking, and I know that there had been Epe Udo and others that had come into the program. It was just the timing, the chemistry, the mixture. But still, that's an incredible run. What made that team, in your opinion, have that kind of run, and how much of a journey did you get a chance to enjoy along the way?
Oh, I tell everybody all the time that it was an amazing time. It was an amazing time. I think the big part was just the chemistry. Every team, just about every team up in the top of the D1 world has great players, right? And you have to have the chemistry to play together. You have to have the timing to make it right and the luck to hit their stride at the right point in time. And I think we did all of that. A big part of that was the chemistry, that our guys knew their roles, cared about the team that they played with, and fulfilled those roles. We didn't have a lot of people that were, trying to be out there and do it all. We had the guys that were going to fill the roles to the best of their ability and do what they needed to do. And that really propelled us to be better than, we could have been had we not had that click and that chemistry that we really had.
Baylor had been in this long drought of the tournament, and then all of a sudden you have a team that has a chance to make the tournament. And then, of course, there's these live cameras now that they have at various places, especially for teams that might be on the bubble that may not get in. It was an incredibly emotional moment for Baylor, the university, and everything across the board, and a lot of people went nuts. What were your expectations and your reaction when that came down?
My reactions were that's where we belonged. In that time, in that moment, we had a good team and a good season and good momentum throughout that season. In my mind, that's where we belonged. It was an exciting time to be part of, breaking the drought that Baylor had in the past. But in the moment, it wasn't about, breaking that drought. It was about, this is the team that we have, and this is where we belong to be.
So, all right, you're now involved in the radiology billing company, in the medical business. How did you get in? I think I saw on a LinkedIn that you actually had done this down in Sugar Land. You've done this as part of your career now. How did all that develop into what you're doing now? And really, what does it mean of what you're doing?
I worked in HR for a while and then transitioned into this. A part of that is that, my mother has been in the radiology business her whole life. I grew up watching her be the manager for a radiology group down in San Antonio. And so through those connections and through her, I was able to come in and join this company. And we've continued to build and grow. It's great. It's one of those that we've been lucky throughout kind of all this COVID stuff that our staff has been able to work from home when necessary. The internet has allowed us to do that, and our systems allow us to do that. So it's been great. Getting here, it's a combination of, luck and who you know and what you've learned through school. And so understanding the business world and all of that, getting into working in the business world and then transitioning into medical billing has been just kind of a natural progression through my life. And again, because of the connections that I have to the radiology world.
Are you mainly working from home, or do you still travel, or has COVID changed what you do or how you do it?
Oh, COVID's definitely changed how we do what we do. Not so much what we do, because that process remains pretty much the same, but it's definitely changed how we do it. We're just now kind of transitioning some of our management team back into the offices on a more consistent basis. For a very long time, the vast majority of our staff has worked from home on all levels of the company, because we've been able to do that with the technology that we have, and we've wanted to keep our staff safe. That's been kind of the important part to us. So it's changed that we're working from home and that we're having to deal with those that very quick transition. It's one thing to have a work from home situation that you're used to and you've built into and you work, but kind of all of a sudden not being able to see your staff and see your supervisors and see the people that you work with every day has been tough on all of us. And I'm sure it's been tough on everybody around the world, but it's definitely been tough. But it's been great that we've been able to do it and not had to, lose staff and have people lose their jobs and all of that. So we've been able to keep that going, which has been a godsend to us and to our staff, and the ability to kind of keep all that going.
What would you be in this Baylor offense? I mean, obviously you would be inside, you'd be an enforcer, you would be a guy that pounds the boards, but you watch how they play now with all this small ball. What do you see?
I like to joke that I'm not 100% sure Scott Drew would recruit me today. Their game has definitely transitioned into, a very quick, fast, and athletic kind of game. And so I would be a position player when they needed somebody to get in there and bruise and get a few rebounds. I was always that guy who was going to, head down. You need somebody hit, let's do it, right? We'll get them out of the paint. And so if they needed that, I would fill that role. But honestly, I probably would have a limited role in the game that they play today. And that's true about all basketball. Basketball has transitioned pretty significantly over my lifetime and definitely kind of prior to me into being kind of that faster, smaller bigs, kind of game, left back to the basket sort of thing.
Yeah, there aren't many guys out that play the game that are your size, are there? They're just not. It's just and it's just changed. There's some, of course, that are 7-footers now that shoot threes that like they're nothing, like Kevin Durant, some of the other guys that play at such a high level. What was it like for you to be a fan favorite? Because obviously you were. I enjoyed being part of the team, being there and all of that. As far as being a fan favorite, I mean, it was always great to be supported by those fans. I mean, we've got great fans still to this day. Did back then, do now. So it was great to be a part of that and to experience those people and be able to talk to them. The amount of people that I met and talked to and got to know because of basketball that I never would have met had I not done that, was amazing. I have a lot of friends that I still talk to that I only know because they were fans of basketball. I would have never run into them at any point in my life had it not been for that. And so that's a pretty amazing thing. All right. Everyone knows that you are obviously someone that people loved to watch, and you played the game the way you had to play the game. There's 2 or 3 things that people bring up when I mentioned that we were going to have you. The other one, of course, is that the game against A&M. There was the 5 overtime game. There was the you inside making sure that if someone was going to come through the paint that they remembered you. Do you recall exactly what you were doing during that moment with Jones?
No, I remember that game, but at any given moment, I wouldn't be able to answer.
That particular moment?
Not in that moment. That game was great. It was one of those. I love the memory of it being like the longest untelevised game in Big 12 history or something like that. But it was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of things going on. As far as any one given moment, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
So how much did Baylor University mean to you? You've mentioned that's one reason you ended up there. You ended up there because of what they do, their commitment and focus on religion. What did it mean to you now, these years later, a decade later?
That's hard to put into words. The experiences and the friends that I have from Baylor will never leave me. Some of my best friends in the world, I know because I went to Baylor. I know through Baylor. And so putting into words what that means to me, it shaped who I am as a person today, right? In a lot of different ways that I probably wouldn't even be able to think of, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, I know. I think the lack of words or the lack of you being able to explain it says everything to you of what Baylor meant to you. I mentioned you're from Bernie, the Greyhounds. One of my most miserable moments ever as an athlete was a football game at Bernie when it was almost as cold as it is right now in Texas, and it was raining. And we lost 7-0, fumbled on the 1-yard line, and Bernie eventually beat us 7-0. How much fun did you have in high school? And do you still even have anything with Bernie Greyhounds on it?
Oh, I still have a lot of things with Bernie Greyhounds on it. It's funny, I joke because I sometimes still wear some Greyhound stuff to football games around here because the Hallsville High School team is also purple. And so I just kind of reuse my high school stuff because it's already purple and it's the purple stuff that I have. So I still have a number of things. It was great. I loved being at Bernie. I loved the small town atmosphere that Bernie was when I was there. It's grown. Oh my gosh, it's grown. When I was there, it was one high school, and it was a very large 4A. Now they've changed the classification system, but it's 2 high schools, and they're both as big as the one I went to. So it's grown crazy. But back then it was, small town. I lived out in the country close by, and it was a great time.
Josh, we appreciate your time. Thanks for reminiscing and also kind of updating us on what you're doing. Good luck with what you're doing with radiology billing. Thanks for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you. SicEm365.
Josh Lomers, former Baylor center. This is SicEm365 Radio. And it was nice to hear from Josh. He's, again, in radiology billing company and doing a great job living in Longview, Texas. When we come back, we'll have a couple of notes about again, that Baylor football schedule, and also news on Chris Beard and Texas Tech on what will the Big 12 do. It's kind of what I thought they would do. There was going to be either a public reprimand or there would be a fine, which is kind of the same thing. But is it one or both? We'll have that on Texas Tech basketball coach Chris Beard after his tantrum in the loss at home against West Virginia. All right, Pioneer Steel and Pipe, what do? Well, they metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel, structural steel, purlin, tubing, beams, weld plates, H-braces, fence posts, culverts, and gates. If you live out on a ranch or you live out in the country and you need a big fence or a culvert or an entryway, man, that's absolutely, they are who you should call at Pioneer Steel and Pipe, pioneerboys.com on the website. Jeff and Braden, Doug, many people involved in what they do. The metal building sales with Mark and Donald and Adam. General sales, Chester, Jamie, Corey, Roel, and also Charles. Inside the office, Regina and Gail, among many others, including operations, general sales. They have a 1943. Pioneer Steel and Pipe has been in business. Think about all of that. 1943. 78 years now they've been strong. And they're also building the new location on South Loop 340 and 12th Street, right next to the new Busby Feed and Seed. That's where they'll be. But they will never lose their customer service, and they will always have that and great product. Pioneer Boys, pioneerboys.com.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Are you ready to save big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, save big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
Hey, yesterday, Craig and Paul and we started talking about Trey Wisner, who we covered this past year with the broadcast of the Conley football games, and how his offers were going to start blowing up. We mentioned that Florida State was I think the first. Then it was North Texas. Then it was UT San Antonio. Then the next thing you know, here comes Ohio State, and on and on and on. And I just saw him post at Southern Cal. This is a sophomore at Conley. He can fly like the wind. I also mentioned Trey Wisner at times was as explosive. I've been doing radio broadcasts of football games for longer than I want to admit sometimes. He can go. The only concern, and even Shane Anderson told me this as they were about halfway through the season, the games in which Trey didn't perform well, you could imagine would be against the better teams. But sometimes it was not much at all. Like against La Vega, although he had a shoulder that was kind of popped up from what he did against Sunnyvale the week before when he exploded on the scene. When he gets loose, it's over. I mean, he's got that kind of speed. And so now Southern Cal, among so many others, on the list of offers for Trey Wisner, the young sophomore from Conley High School. Baseball, their games against UT Rio Grande Valley has been moved back to Monday, February 22nd. And let's see, because you may not have heard this story. If you didn't, UT Rio Grande Valley lost their men's basketball coach Sudley and head coach Lou Hill. So Rio Grande Valley has agreed to move the previously scheduled midweek game on the 23rd to Monday the 22nd at Baylor Ballpark. Baylor will open its season next week, a 3-game homestand against Jacksonville State the 19th, 20th, and 21st. I mentioned softball canceled their opening game and their tournament that they were going to start with. Of course, we know tennis is in action. Believe me, Scotty B is going to let us know and update us on that. He does a great job of helping us with that as well. All right, now, Armstrong, will you show that you have that up in an insert now, the fire, right? How cool is that?
Yeah, we just have it in the shot here. You can see it in the studio. It's a nice setup.
It is a good setup. There was a time during the break where I walked over there and stood next to the TV thinking that Jack and Armstrong, that I might get myself, might warm myself up a little bit. So both, okay, what are you driving, Jack? What do you have? What's your transportation after this show?
I've got a 2009 Honda Fit.
All right. I heard you were a little bit worried about a couple of ways you got to go. Where do you have to get back near campus?
Yeah, I'm just south of campus, so I've got to probably go over 2 bridges to get there. Maybe one if I go through downtown.
Armstrong, you've got a Suburban?
The Burb, 1993 Chevy Suburban. So.
1990. How many miles?
It only has 122,000.
Well, that's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
You know, back in May, I finally turned in the 377,000-mile Tahoe, the 2001 Tahoe. And if I had it now, and it was like it is now, I would expect something to go wrong. You know, it wouldn't start or...
No, I have complete faith in my car.
Dang, the 93.
More than most modern cars, mainly because if something goes wrong, I can pretty easily figure out what it is because it's not a bunch of computers, you know?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Well, I put the sun shield that you use to like cover up your windshield when you go somewhere and it's hot, you go to the grocery store, wherever, and you put that up to keep the heat from where you're going to be gone for a while. I put that over my windshield to prevent some of it from getting hit.
Yeah, hopefully it's
and
still
there's a little bit icy out here on the sidewalks.
very
Here.
icy.
That's where you're going to slip and bust your,
We've got
what.
like half an inch of ice out there on the sidewalk right outside the door.
You think so? That's what it is? Yeah. I think. By the way, back to the text line, T-Rex, 365 Radio beanies. Make it happen.
Hey, I would wear one.
I would wear one. I've got one that's Nebraska. I got one that's got the Huskers, and I wear it when it gets too cold. Also, let me see here. There was another text from Jonathan. I wish the home games with Oklahoma and Texas were in alternating years. With both those games in 1 year, the home schedule is great. The other years are not so compelling. What do you guys think about that?
He's absolutely right. Like those years where they both come to town, they're great. They're fun. You're going every week. But the years when they're not, it's like, oh yeah, Kansas is coming to town. Yeah. Oklahoma State can be a good one. You never really, you know.
You kind of, but when Texas and Oklahoma, but Iowa State, they made their big run. I love the schedule this year, but you're right. The next year, then it goes right back the other way. They have so many. Last year I mentioned they had the Ole Miss game canceled, but so was the Louisiana Tech game, which would have been a nice game as well. By the way, Don Williams, we take a break, come back with Michelle Vopel, ESPN college basketball, women's college basketball writer. Don Williams of the of the Avalanche Journal in Lubbock, according to a source, Big 12 is going to hand down a public reprimand of Chris Beard. No fine expected for his blow-up Tuesday night that got him ejected from the Texas Tech West Virginia game. And that's kind of what I thought. It's not like he lost it. There's no question about it. He lost it. But I didn't expect him to probably, get fined. If he would have hung around a little bit longer, really, really gotten physically right in front of an official badly, then maybe there's a fine. There's a public reprimand, although a fine is both. You get fined and they're reprimanded you. When we come back, Michelle Vopel of ESPN on college basketball. The women's, who is elite? And is there a team that's elite? And her thoughts about the Lady Bears as well. SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
She said she has concussion symptoms. She didn't say she had a concussion. So I'm not going to say she has a concussion because when I asked her a minute ago, she said, oh, no, ma'am, I have concussion symptoms. So...
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Craig and Paul are safe at home. I told both of them, hey, don't worry about it. I'll handle it today. We got some great guests lined up. We had the football schedule released, and then the breaking news with Riker's Tyler Holcomb as well. We're now joined by Michelle Vopel. She writes for college basketball, women's college basketball, columnist and writer for ESPN. She joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Michelle, thank you very, very much. When J.D. Richards went down last night for Baylor, everyone, of course, thought, oh, my God, this could be a reaction or it could be something that leads to whatever happened before the year. But the fact is she came back on the bench. She didn't play. But the fact she came back to the bench, how much of a relief do you think that is to Kim Mulkey and Lady Bears fans?
Oh, huge. You know, the way she fell was scary. The way she looked, you know, just lay her flat for a little while was very scary. And we know how serious that injury was, you know, back in October. It's really been pretty amazing how quickly she came back from it and how well she's played. So I think there was just an enormous sense of relief, obviously with the Baylor fans and Coach Mulkey, but all across the country. I mean, people really know J.D.'s story, and I think when everybody heard that, their breath kind of caught that she had fallen, and they were just relieved to see that she was back and seems to be okay, although we don't know for sure if she's going to be able to play the next game.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. Of course, Baylor has Texas coming up on Sunday afternoon. You know, one of the things that has at times, it's not a knock, but one of the things about women's basketball that has hurt it at the same time they've had the dynasties of UConn. We've seen what Kim Mulkey's done and all their teams that have been dominant, Notre Dame, Stanford, whatever. It appears, Michelle, that there is no great team, that there's no team that sometimes in women's basketball, you know before the season starts that they're going to probably win the national championship. Is this as even of a group at the top that you've seen in quite some time?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting way to put it, and I would have to agree with you. If you look at last year, it was probably even in a lot of ways, but it was really, really good teams, if you will. You know, you could have picked out, for instance, you know, South Carolina, which finished the season at number 1, and Oregon is probably the two big favorites, and they were, you know, teams you thought, hey, unless something really weird happens, they're going to be Final Four teams. This year's different for so many reasons. We lost a lot of seniors from last year. We lost probably the top 3 juniors who were draft eligible, including Kennedy Carter, obviously from Texas A&M. And so that's impacted teams. You've had COVID has had a huge impact on teams. So many teams have had pauses and how that's affected them. So I would agree with you. We've seen some losses even from good teams, and you see some potential holes in even the good teams that could make this pretty interesting. And the last part of that also is, as you know, with the women's tournament, they have what you call the G curve. Geography plays a role in the seeding most years, but it won't this year. It'll be a true S curve because it's a single site tournament. So that's going to impact things as well. I think some teams that are maybe used to getting that, they have the first and second round games at home, and some of them have been really close for a lot of years on their regionals. That's not going to be the case. Everything's going to be in one site.
It's we saw UConn just beat South Carolina. We know UConn, they had, a couple of their struggles, but I don't think, is there anyone unbeaten left among the elite? I don't think there is. Is everyone have at least one loss?
Yeah, and Louisville of the elite teams was the last one to lose, lost to NC State, and then NC State turned around and lost to North Carolina, which is a rivalry game. So, you put that into it. But you're right. Stanford, I still think, is the best team overall, the deepest team. But they've had 2 losses, including a 1-2 an unranked team in Colorado. So a lot of teams have some question marks. With UConn, it's their reliance so much on a freshman. She's a terrific player, but this is a team with 7 freshmen, and so she's had to be a terrific player. UConn is not a team that generally has one player carry as big a load as Paige Beckers has. So that'll be interesting to see if that they get a little bit more help consistently from other players, or if she's going to have to try to carry that much of a load, throughout the rest of the season in the NCAA tournament.
What are your thoughts? I had a question or two, and I know you're on a lot of the post-game Zooms as well, when Baylor plays, among other teams around the country as well. Baylor, they're 14-2 or whatever, maybe 15-2 now after the win last night, but there's something still missing, and a lot of it might be because they had the pause. It might be because they had one of the most dominant inside players defensively ever in Lauren Cox, who no matter if somebody made a mistake, she was going to be there to make sure she protects the rim. What do you see right now with Baylor?
I still really like Baylor as a Final Four team. I really do. I think that, you know this, the Iowa State loss, that's about the worst team you can play with no preparation because of the way that they play and the offense that they run. So Baylor really had almost no preparation for that game and didn't really have Coach Mulkey at all for that. So I thought that was, again, not taking anything away from Iowa State, but I thought there was some extenuating circumstances for that loss. And, then Baylor lost to Arkansas, which has beaten UConn.
Yep.
They're a team. Arkansas is that kind of that wild card team out there that because they have these 3 terrific scoring guards, they can beat almost anybody, as they've proven, and they can also, maybe lose to a lot of teams. And they have struggled with some of their losses. So you can't replace a Lauren Cox. She was so good at so many things, and Baylor fans know that. Like, just things that didn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. As much as that's a cliche, that's so much what she was like. But Moon Urson has had a terrific senior season. I think she's really maxed out with even more than anybody would have expected from her. I think Melissa Smith's a great player. Probably one of the players I always try to mention because I think she's underrated at how good she is. And this is a program that just always finds a way. Another player you really want to mention is Dejanay Carrington because she's somebody who can come in. If Dee out, then you still have an absolutely elite, another elite defender on the perimeter in Dejanay Carrington and the offense that Dejanay is able to bring, plus tons of experience. Being a 5th year type player. So you missed the heck out of Cox, and everybody knew that would be the case. But I still like a lot about this team and their ability to to make a long run in the NCAA tournament.
West Virginia's, I think, 16 or 17-2. They've lost to Baylor on the road by 20. It was interesting and surprising. It was that surprising that was that much of a spread. Then they were beaten at Oklahoma State as well. Actually, they played Baylor at home. Excuse me. They are hanging around. Texas had a nice win against Oklahoma State with Vic Schaefer. It appears as if the Big 12's got 3 or 4 teams. I don't know how good they are. We know where Baylor is. But a couple of other teams that are hanging around should make these last 2 or 3 weeks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. West Virginia's got, some really strong guard play. And they've been the one team, that's broken up the Baylor domination. At the Big 12 tournament, getting that win a few years ago. I do think Texas is the team that they've had their ups and downs, but they've got one of the best players in the country in Charlie Collier. So that's going to be, she's continuing to be a big factor for them. Oklahoma State's another team, obviously, that has one of the better post players in Natasha Mack. So, Baylor is still the cream of the crop. Not surprisingly, but I do think there's some other teams that can make some noise in the NCAA tournament of the Big 12. And then, unfortunately, there's probably some teams that have just been really hit hard by COVID this year in the Big 12. And I don't think they're not as good as we might have expected, but they have, real reasons, just with personnel and illness that have kept them from being as good as they can be. And I guess, David, the other team that's in here, obviously, is Iowa State.
Yeah.
That loss to Oklahoma, I think, surprised a lot of people. I mean, this is, again, it's the team that beat Baylor, but lost to Oklahoma. So I don't know that we know what to make of them sometimes. They've been maybe the hardest team to know exactly what you're going to get from them, even though they have, a great player in Ashley Jones.
Michelle Vopel, ESPN college basketball columnist. She's all over women's basketball. I've seen her at all the various tournaments along the way the last several years at the big tournaments, regional tournaments, or the conference tournaments as well. So, Baylor men, as you know, very, very good. They're in pause right now. It's number 2 in the country, 17-0. And they had 2 games with Gonzaga and Villanova wiped out because of COVID. And in women's basketball, Baylor-UConn was wiped out because of the delay that they were in, that Baylor was in. How much does it hurt when women's basketball, they don't get the elite games like that played? And there's been, like I just mentioned, UConn beat South Carolina, but how much does it hurt when you don't have the Baylor-UConn type games that go on?
I think it absolutely hurts. And that was a game, the Baylor-UConn game was a game that was probably like the game I was most looking forward to in the whole season. And part of that is because, Baylor's a team that's held its own with UConn. They have a 4-4 series record. So they believe they can beat UConn every time they play them, and they beat them last year. They've won in Connecticut. And so that was a game that was going to be in Waco. It was going to be really interesting to see, what Baylor defensively did against Page. So we definitely missed having that game. UConn and Louisville is a game everybody was looking forward to. That one got canceled. So it does hurt because we haven't necessarily seen the same level of having those top teams face off against each other. And, that's what you always love to see on the men's and the women's side. But I think on the women's side, it's especially, you miss it because those are the teams you're going to expect to see make a deep run into the postseason. And sometimes we get a little taste of that in the non-conference. And in the case of, Baylor not playing UConn, we lost one of the biggest games on the schedule.
Let me ask you this, and you've covered women's basketball for a long, long time. You know Coach Mulkey, and there's been times when she probably could have bitten a lip, maybe stopped what she was talking about or whatever, and she and I have talked about that before. But you know her really well. Do you feel like she's misunderstood a lot around the country, and that sometimes because she's outspoken, which we see, hey, empower women, let them have a voice, she's a powerful voice, but it seems like there are still some that don't want to hear from her. Do you feel that way as well?
Yes, I do. And there are times when I think I've inadvertently, the whole issue with her remarks on the NCAA and, why we were still having a tournament. What she was saying is the truth. that she wasn't wrong about what she was saying. What I think happens with Kim is, like you said, she's a very powerful voice, and she just says what she thinks. And I do think sometimes that's taken wrong. And I'll be honest, I don't think that happens to men coaches the same way that it happens to women coaches. So it's interesting. She and I have actually had conversations about that. What I really like and respect about Kim so much is, even if she's mad at me or, doesn't like something I write, we can talk it out. I can say, okay, this is what happened with this. And she's willing to listen. She's somebody who understands what our jobs are. But I don't like it sometimes, honestly, that I think she gets a bad rap for things that a male coach wouldn't always get a bad rap for. And that, like you said, David, we want people to show their personalities, and yet then we criticize them, when they're showing their personalities, who they are. That kind of bothers me about that too. I've had some times when I've been critical of Kim, but for the most part, this woman has meant an enormous amount to this sport. I mean, and look what she's done. I mean, how many people can claim the amount of impact that she's had for decades on this sport? That's what bothers me, is sometimes I think people get caught up in, she threw her jacket, or she says something funny that sounds funny to a non-Southern ear. That's another thing. But let's just look at the record. Let's look at how she's impacted not just college women's basketball, international basketball, her players in the WNBA. And it is not easy to stay on top of a conference as long as she stayed on top of it and win 3 national championships. Those things are hard to do, and she's done them.
Do you feel like, and I'm not asking you to agree with me, but do you feel like, because one, she's female, she is at a Christian school, a religious school, and she's also from the South, does that work against her from maybe the media's perspective around the country at times?
I think it does a little bit, and I've always, sometimes I'll have these discussions with people from different parts of the country, because I'm from the Midwest, and I know Baylor fans, and I know, the teams in the Big 12 really well, and I feel like I know Coach Mulkey pretty well. And there's been times when I think, they've gotten a bad rap. Sometimes they've gotten a bad rap for things that happened, let's be frank, at Baylor that didn't have anything to do with the women's basketball program. And I think that's, if you want to look back on the whole history of what she's meant to Baylor, when Baylor was probably at about its lowest point, she came in and helped them win a national championship. So I think there's a lot of credit to her for that, or that she should get for that, that she doesn't necessarily always get. And David, the other thing is, like, she's a really good tactical coach. Really, like you watch how she's able to win with different types of teams. If you look at all 3 of her national championship teams, there are similarities, but there are different buttons she had to push for all of those teams, and she was able to do it. I think you take that and the longevity and the ability to play great programs, other great programs like UConn. She doesn't shy away from that. I see all of those things as positives that I don't know that she always gets credit for.
Michelle, thank you always. Thank you for your time and your insight and what you do, and also sharing some of the stories or conversations you've had with Kim as well. We appreciate it. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks. Hope everybody stays safe down there. I know it's been a tough morning.
It's been really, really tough. Thank you very much. With the icy conditions, there's been some horrific videos of things that have happened. And again, we're right here attached. Michelle Vopel, ESPN, with us on SicEm365 Radio. There are some horrific videos out there. And, with I-35 running right down the spine, Waco right, with all the construction, that's one of the reasons Paul and Craig, especially Craig, because he has to sometimes maneuver 35, even when things are 95 degrees, warm and dry, But so I'm in here with Armstrong and with also Jack McKenzie in our fireplace that we magically appeared inside the studio. That's it. We have to do that now, right? This is pressure on Ashley Colton Bryan. It has to happen.
Yeah, we definitely need a real fireplace now.
Well, here's the deal. This is Thursday. It's been below 30. And you look at this, and in Texas, we had that incredible snow back, I don't even remember what it was, early in January, whenever it was, and that was fantastic. I liked it because it actually stuck for a few hours. It wasn't like at 8 o'clock in the morning it was snowing, and the next thing you know, by 2 o'clock that afternoon, it was melted off. I liked the fact that it stuck and it was around, and you could see a little bit of the fields or the country roads where you could see the trees that looked like the pictures and photographs sometimes. This here, though, the ice is what is bad. And this is not just it's 27 degrees today and 49 tomorrow. This is a stretch of what, 5, 6, 7 days? Monday might be the coldest of all the days. So, my goodness.
Supposed to get possibly even to 3 degrees on Monday.
That's crazy. That's like playing games at Lambeau Field or the old days in Minnesota. He heard that Lambeau Field reference. He got excited about that. Okay, thanks to Michelle Vopel. Coming up next, Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. A couple of updates. Baylor again. Throw that up there again, Armstrong, if you don't mind, the football schedule, if you can, as we go to the break. Also, Chris Beard will be reprimanded, a public reprimand, but no fine for his outburst against West Virginia at home at Texas State. So they'll open up in San Marcos. Home against Texas Southern. The Big 12 will open up at Kansas, home against Iowa State, at Oklahoma State and Stillwater, and then they have 3 games in a row at home, including West Virginia, Brigham Young in a non-conference game. I love that. And then also the bye week before they play the University of Texas. And is that Halloween weekend? Is that right? I'm not sure exactly when that might be. And then on the road against TCU, home against Oklahoma, at K-State in Manhattan, and then Texas Tech, that game now. It's the first time they'll play. They played 2 years ago against Texas Tech. They had that butt fumble. Remember, like in overtime, that Baylor got the break on that call, won the game in overtime. And then, of course, there's December the 4th. You're damn sure you put that up there because everyone's goal is to get to the championship game, even if Baylor, after last year's 2-7, may not be in that conversation. And who knows right now, and we'll see what they are in the 2021 season. When we come back, Mickey Spagnola on many things NFL, wrapping up the Super Bowl and headed into the offseason. This is SicEm365 Radio. So this week at Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, there's a couple of things. One, Valentine's is coming up Saturday. Brian Bauer sent me a note. 2, bacon wrap fillets. These are 8-ounce bacon wrap fillets. 2 8-ounce lobster tails, and then a $10 gift card to Curbside Coffee, $50. That's a great deal. It's a great deal for Valentine's Day. Again, 2 bacon wrap fillets, thick bacon wrap fillets, 2 lobster tails, and also a $10 gift card to Curbside Coffee, $50 of Valentine's if you want to have that for the meal on Valentine's Day or any day, heck, even tomorrow or even on Sunday. Then also some of the specials this week. Boneless chuck roast, $3.99 a pound. Idaho potatoes at just 50 cents each. Rainbow carrots, $1.25 a pound. A whole chicken at $1.20 a pound. Thin chicken breast, $1.85 a pound. Get as many as you want. German sausage at $3.75 a pound. And also 20% off on the chili seasoning and 20% off on soup mixes. There's not a better time to have something like chili or soup right now with the weather the way it is to warm yourself up. WacoCustomMarketplace.com or their location at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Wake Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Here's Elliott. He will get it. Touchdown Dallas as Elliott fought for it and has his 6th of the year.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour halfway through, thanks to Michelle Vopel. At 5 o'clock, Hall of Famer Gil Brandt will join us. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Are you all cozy at home? And he's not here yet. Okay, we're working on him. Sorry about that. I was going to say he might be already home, I would think, rather than anything else, with Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. The feedback on Baylor's football schedule, a couple more text just now, 254-339-1122. Come on, switch over. All right, here we go with a couple more of the responses that I've gotten on the Twitter. Really good schedule for us. I think a 3-0 start should be a given. Give our offense a chance to kind of gel into the thick part or the meat of our schedule. That's one of the responses as well. Here's another one. I'm ready to run it back to Manhattan, but I think I've come to the conclusion that Stillwater just isn't worth the trip, particularly early in the season without much on the line yet. Blows my mind. There's a university in a location that best way to get there is driving up I-35, make a 90-degree turn, and then drive another 70 miles, talking about Stillwater. Getting to Stillwater is tough. Getting to Stillwater is not an easy drive. And then I've been there. You know, like the conditions now, I've driven. Craig and I went up to Stillwater once on a road trip, and it was not fun at all. We left the playoff game at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, a midway playoff game, and then drove up 35 and then, of course, took that little kind of a northeastern turn to Stillwater. It was not easy at all. Here's somebody that broke down the games on the SicEm365.com in the premium section, waiting on Mickey Spagnola. Win at Texas State, win against Texas Southern, win at Kansas. Loss at home to Iowa State and then at Oklahoma State. Wins against West Virginia, Brigham Young. That would put Baylor at the time at 5-2. Beat Texas at home. Lose at TCU and then lose against Oklahoma and come back and win games at home at Kansas State and finish the year up with a win at home against Texas Tech. Would you take that right now? Let's see. What is that? 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jack 8-4.
I'd take 8-4 in a heartbeat.
You would take 8-4 when you're 2-7 coming off the nightmare type of year that you just had. You know, when they went 1-11 in that disastrous first year under Matt Rule, the first thing I thought when we ever discussed it, which we could discuss what their record might be any day, any time, any call, any text, any opinion, any comment, any segment. I said, just find a way to get to a bowl game. And damn, they did. And then they won the bowl game against Vanderbilt. But to me, when you come off a year like that, 1-11, just find a way. Just find a way to get to a bowl game. And that was something that they had started to do. That was not, maybe it was taken for granted. And then, of course, you had the change from the Art Browse era. They still made a bowl the next year with Jim Grobe, of course, with 99.9% of the Art Browse staff, and they win the game against Boise State. And then you have 1-11. And when you go 1-11 and you go 2-7, no matter the circumstances, either year, just get to a bowl game. Stop the streak. Stop. Don't let it get to 2 years. 2 years can be 5 years. 5 years can then be the drought that Baylor had for nearly a decade and a half before they went back to a bowl game in the 2010 season when they lost to Illinois down at Texas Bowl in Houston. Just get into a bowl game. I know you want to get your hopes up. You might say, man, I think we can see 8, 9. Stop. I'm not saying don't get your hopes up. I'm not saying don't be excited. I'm not saying don't be positive. I'm just saying just get back to a bowl game. I don't care how you do it. I don't care who you beat along the way. Because right now, you look at that schedule, and there are 5 or 6 teams that you're not so sure, no matter how confident you are or how much you bleed green and gold, that you're not so sure about right now. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Texas, and Brigham Young. I know Brigham Young's losing a lot. Plus, they lose Grimes and Mateos. Plus, they lose their quarterback in Wilson. They lose Christensen, the great offensive lineman. Brigham Young's still a hell of a football program. Always have been.
That'd be a good win. And
that'd be a hell of a win.
You're absolutely right. Getting to a bowl game has to be the goal. It has to be the standard. Getting those extra practices going into the bowl week, that's big for a program. That's big to get the young guys going. That's big to keep developing people. So that's got to be the goal. That's got to be the standard.
Are we having problems tracking down Mickey Armstrong? Okay. All right. I think we got it. All right. So, but I believe, and I know that, hey, no, that's 9-3. Stop. But then again, I say that, and after they went 1-11, I said, just get to a bowl game, and they did, and they had to beat Texas Tech to do it. Okay, awesome. And then after that, I said, okay, maybe 8 wins, and a lot of you said, oh, no, 8, 9, 10. I was like, stop, and hell, they were 11-3. So there are other parts, obviously, when you can be a lot better than what you may have thought. And they had to win some of those games that last year they didn't win those games that were decided down the stretch, except that one that they had. All right, we lost Mickey again. All right, we lost him again. That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. Here's a couple more responses from you. Let's see on the text line. We'll have Mickey. We're having some problems with the connection. Here's another one. Schedule's amazing. I only wish we had our current staff in place last season and a full offseason in 2021 to clear up any issues from 2020. I have high hopes for Grimes and company to get the offense in shape. I really want to hope for another 2019 year. Of course, they were 11-3, played for the Big 12 title and also in the Sugar Bowl. But I'm nervous about the COVID stupidity getting in the way again. That's from Shooter TX. Now we're joined by Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com, who joined. Are you tucked at home, all snuggled up? Are you in, is it Flower Mound, Carrollton? Where in the hell do you live now, Mickey?
Good connection, but I run out to make an error.
Okay. Do you need is that his home number? That's his cell
No, you
number.
got me on my cell. You know what? And I got you good now. I can hear you.
Okay, and you sounded a lot better as well. All right, Mickey, first of all, are you safe and sound? Did you have to go into work at all today?
I could have if I wanted to, but I work from home. It wasn't really bad around our house, but it wasn't that far away from I don't live that far away from 35W where the big accident took place.
Oh boy, that was awful. That was awful. Yeah, that.
So you made it back from Florida safely?
Yeah, I did. I made it back on a packed Southwest Airlines flight Monday morning. Made it back from the Super Bowl 55 at Raymond James Stadium. What did we learn, Mickey, about what the Buccaneers did, how they built this team? Obviously, the key addition of Tom Brady among some others. What did we learn about them?
We learned that if you go up against a team with backups to backups on the offensive line, you might be pretty good. And that relates to the Cowboys because they did it for basically 16 games without their, or at least 14 without their starting tackles. And without your starting tackles, and one of them was a Pro Bowler and the other one was on his way to being a Pro Bowler, it makes a difference. So you better have some really good backups, especially when you go against the defensive front that Tampa Bay had.
Let me. Hey, Armstrong, I'm going to try to give you Mickey's home number. Okay, can we take a break right here and come back with him? Are we okay with that? Yeah, let's take a break right here. I'm going to get you Mickey's home number, and we'll be able to have a better landline with him. I got one of those. Let's take a break right here. This is SicEm365 Radio.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked number 1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, so we don't need the name. I'll get into this other thing, this delivery in just a second. Mickey Spagnola, we got him back, right? Mickey, you were talking about, they have the tackles out. We know the Cowboys dealt with that all year long. Is that kind of almost like validation about why the season was as difficult as it was for the Cowboys?
Well, I think that was one of the reasons. Obviously they had problems defensively. No bones about that. But from an offensive standpoint, I don't know if I realized this, but I looked it up today. The quarterbacks got sacked 44 times. That was the second most since they had been sacked 50 times in 2005. So that kind of gives you an idea of what was happening with pass protection and the fact that everybody wanted to blame the running game or lack thereof on Ezekiel Elliott, when if you can't protect the quarterback with the offensive line you're playing with, what makes you think those guys can run block too? So, it's a recipe for disaster. If you're going to go out and your starting tackles are an undrafted rookie free agent and a second-year undrafted free agent that had played 2 games in the NFL before this season. And then you started playing do-si-do with the center position. And then you lose Zach Martin, who finally they said, let's move him out to tackle because we're struggling at the right tackle position. No kidding. And then he gets hurt. So, it was one thing after another. So that's what struck me in the game most of all. Not so much what Tampa Bay did, but what Kansas City was having to do. And then compounded by, obviously, Mahomes needing foot surgery. So you would think the one saving grace for the defensive line would be his mobility, and he didn't have the normal mobility. And you just can't play offense that way when you can't block up front, especially when they're only coming at you with their front four.
You've covered this league for many years. You've seen some of the great names. You've seen Montana. You've seen Aikman win 3. We've seen Bradshaw win 4, Montana. But, Mickey, we saw Elway wait until the last two. Finally, after his career's almost over, Terrell Davis shows up. They win a couple. This is insane. This is insane. He's at 7 now. Tom Brady's at 7. And the standard used to be 4. What in the world? How do you explain it?
Yeah, well, number one, he's awfully good. But number two, he also pulls people along with him. I mean, this was a 7-9 team last year, and they didn't make that many upgrades. But again, when you get a quarterback like that, that can kind of take over a team, not just the offense, but drag everybody else along with you, I think it makes a difference. And he's kind of one of those generation type quarterbacks that's been able to do that. You know, and you're right. You know, you mentioned Elway, and you know he was getting himself to Super Bowls, but he wasn't winning until they got a running game. So you know, there's just more to it than just the quarterback. And I understand, you know, how well Brady plays, but they wouldn't have got to this game if that defense didn't play so well in the NFC Championship game, because he got intercepted 3 times. And it never fazed the entire team because the defense compensated for him. So again, as much credit as he gets, it's still a team game. As I told somebody the other day, you know, we on Sunday we weren't at the Australian Open. You know, the quarterbacks needed other guys to go along with them, and his offensive line conversely played awfully well. I don't know if he got touched, but one time.
You know, I saw a note that Mahomes was what you would call pressured 29, which is well over half of his throws, and Brady, right. I think there were 4. That's pressured. That doesn't mean he was like it was. I think he got sacked once early on. 4, 29 pressures to 4 in that game on Sunday.
And I don't know if you got a chance to see Brady's interview Monday morning when they normally do it with the MVP and the head coach. And someone asked him about what he told Mahomes after the game. And he basically said, nobody can play quarterback under duress the way he was under duress. He was scrambling. He said he was doubling back. He was tripling back. He was reversing. And he goes, there's no way to play quarterback in this league if every time you drop back, you're thinking to myself, oh God, I got to thread the needle between 2 guys to get 6 yards. And I thought it was very insightful on him, and he understood what Mahomes was going through in that game. And you're right, it was 29 dropbacks, 52% of his dropbacks he was under pressure. Can't win that way.
No,
it's impossible. So yeah, you know, things you learn. You know, when you can have a front 4 like that and then double up with 2 running backs that can run like that, boy, Devin White, awfully good player from LSU, yep. Right?
Yeah.
And I saw an interview with him today on NFL Network, and he's into horses, right? That's one of his things. And he evidently told the GM at Tampa Bay Light before they got to the Super Bowl, he said, if we win the Super Bowl, he goes, I want to bring my horse to the stadium and ride it around the stadium holding the Lombardi trophy. And they had video of him doing it the other day. So I know it was a great boat parade and throwing the Lombardi around, but you should have seen the video of him on his horse, one hand on the reins, the other one holding the Lombardi trophy, and he's going around Raymond James Stadium on the inside, on the field.
Wow.
It was pretty funny. But he's awfully good. And, you know, and that leads me to, you know, when the Cowboys are, oh, what do they need? What do they need in this? What do they need in the draft? You know what? There's a couple really good linebackers that are going to go in the top 10, 15 of this draft. The one guy from Penn State, they can add a linebacker. And it's nothing against Van Der Esch or Jalen Smith. But you really kind of need 3 of those guys if you're going to play a true 4-3. And so I got no problem with that. It'll be interesting to see how the draft breaks out. We're so long away from that. But that stood out to me, that you had a linebacker like that can run sideline to sideline and make plays and just cause a whole lot of problems for the offense. Boy, that makes a huge difference. So that's another thing I think the things the Cowboys gotta look at. Now, here's the other thing, David. They may have gone a long way fixing the defense by hiring Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator.
By the way, we're showing the video of the horse inside Raymond James. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Isn't that great?
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great work on your guys there, by the way, to find it that fast.
Armstrong and Jack.
But what I was going to say is, this defense, and it was majority of it was the same as the year before. They were ranked 9th in total yards. Now, they weren't real good against points scored, but they were 9th in total yards and 11th in rushing defense. They couldn't even sniff that this year. So don't tell me losing 3 or 4 guys that were starters made that big a difference in a team going from ranked there to almost dead last in total defense and definitely next to last in rushing defense. So maybe a change in defensive coordinators will help out, but they've still got to add to some of the personnel they have on the defense to get better because, it's a hard thing to do to say, I'm going to average 30 points a game to be able to win. I don't think you can do that consistently in this league. Sometimes you got to win a game 17-14.
Mickey, if you look at what they've done defensively, they seem to have, the Buccaneers, a really nice mixture, which you always want, of veterans, some who are maybe towards the end of their career but still can play at a high level, like Ndamukong Suh. Levante David is a quality linebacker. Shaquille Barrett was an undrafted guy who's bounced around. They have White. They have Winfield. Vita V is very, very good. Obviously, he's another veteran, and Jason Pierre-Paul. We know his story. They seem to have a very nice mixture. How easier said than done is it to do that?
Well, and you left out one person, Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
He did a hell of a job coordinating that defense, along with another former Cowboy assistant coach, Casey Rogers, coaching that defensive front. I don't know how much that front changed because some of those guys were there last year, I believe. But I just think they did a wonderful job of putting that all together. And the fact that they were able to turn it around after they started the season off 7-5. They were one of the most inconsistent teams, and then they got on a hot streak, and maybe they figured things out defensively because prior to that, they were giving up a heck of a lot of points. So it wasn't like they were just dominating the entire season. They got on a roll at the end, and remember, Kansas City whooped them the first time. So, what changed from when they met during the regular season to the end? Because Tom Brady was there for the first meeting, and they got beat bad. So, who knows how to explain some of this? The weird thing, David, is before games, guys like us, we sit there and try to analyze and go, well, this is what's going to be important. This is what's going to be important. I'll guarantee you not many people pointed out that the problems Kansas City might have on their offensive line. We just assumed, you just put those guys in and play. That's another thing. I always think about that. We spend so much time during the week going over injuries and what it's going to mean and who's going to miss. And then you get into the game and the guys miss, and then you get your butt beat, and no one says, they were missing these guys. Because we buy into this next man up theory, right? Well, the next man up is the next man up because he's not good enough to be the man. So there's a lot that goes into what happened, I think, in that game, other than, Tampa played awfully, awfully well.
Mickey, thank you very much. Stay warm, stay dry, stay safe. Thanks for your time. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, with us to close out this 4 o'clock hour. Coming up next, we might need to take a mini break because we need to hit our next guest is on time as much as possible, which we always should do. Gil Brandt, Pro Football Hall of Famer, next on SicEm365 Radio.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Craig and Paul are at home. David Smoak flying solo. Jack and Armstrong in the studio with me on SicEm365 Radio. Hall of Fame great Gil Brandt joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Gil, are you, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're staying warm and safe. How do you try to describe what Tom Brady continues to do?
Well, David, let me say this to you. I go back with Tom Brady a long way. I go back with him to the East-West All-Star game, in which I invited him to the East-West All-Star game. He came. He played well. He never ceases to amaze you. The guy has got great, great character. He starts there. you're not going to pick up many papers and find out he's been in the barroom fight or anything like that. And he just has got great work habits. But, if you've got a great player that has all of those things but doesn't have accuracy, then you don't have a lot. And he has accuracy. And, we worried, and myself worried, about him going back downhill a little bit from his top years. And, very seldom does Belichick let anybody leave early. And for all intent and purposes, Bill left him leave early this last year. And that's why he became available and became a NFL, NFC side Hall of Famer is what he did because of that great performance that he had again on Sunday.
Let me ask you this. You had Staubach and of course, Aikman. You guys were going to have Aikman, and you did. They won Super Bowls. There have been a few that have won multiple. Do you, as someone who's been in the league as long as you have been, do you measure quarterback greatness by the number of rings they compile, or is it more than that?
Well, I've never said that so-and-so had a 57% winning record, and he should be ahead of you, David Smoak, who had a 55% winning record. It's a feel. It's like anything. It's a feel. You go to a restaurant, you like the restaurant. You go to a restaurant, you just don't like it as well as the restaurant you were at the past week is what it is. So I don't know. I wish there was a way that you could take and weigh potatoes and say, this is a 10-pound bag of potatoes, 8-pound bag of potatoes. I wish there was a way you could take quarterbacks and do the same thing. But remember one thing, whatever amount of barometers you use to make a quarterback decision, there's emphasis on some areas. As an example, I think you want guys, when you're making a decision on a quarterback, you want a guy that's got great mental alertness. We don't care much about a guy how strong he is if he can't lift 225 pounds, which I don't think Tom could do 2 times at the combine. So you get a feel for a player, you get a feel for a person, and I think the great feel you got for the person was that he went to Michigan and on a promise that he would be the starting quarterback after Greasy was there. But unfortunately, Greasy hung around an extra year. And so a lot of guys had the car packed and gone home and stopped at Montana State or Idaho State to play football. He instead stayed there and fought the quarterback battle that was about to take place.
Gil, you had to wait too long to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You know the long wait that Drew Pearson had, among others that are finally in. Tom Flores, we had both of them earlier this week. Your thoughts about Drew now being a part of that enshrinement like you are and other Cowboys are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Well, everybody I think that's voted in deserves it, because everybody that's a candidate that eventually becomes a candidate as selected by the board of selectors is very good. I think probably for Drew Pearson to get in, it's a little harder. And I say that because if you remember, he twice led the National Football League in pass receptions, once with 54 catches and once with 56 catches or something like that. And so people look at numbers. We look at them in baseball players. We look at them on basketball players. Does a guy average 38 points a game? Or does he average 27 points a game? The 27-point-a-game guy might be just as good, but we look at the numbers. And so you going in to the Hall of Fame with leading the league in receptions for 2 years, which was pretty darn good. There's not many guys do that. But the fact that it was less than 60, you got to have a lot of wiggle room, and you've got to know the person. You've got to know the person. I've known ever since day one, and I'm so proud of what he did for us on the field as well as off the field, and what he's meant to this community. And I don't know with the exception of a few quarterbacks. I don't know if anybody is as popular a player as Drew is, and that includes people like Randy White, who are very, very good players and are also in the Hall of Fame.
Gil, one more thing, and I know you got to go, and we appreciate it. It's about the Hall of Fame. Now that Drew is in, now that you, of course, recently were in, and there's been a few others that finally got in. Bob Hayes had to wait forever. Who should, maybe not next, but Chuck Howley, Harvey Martin, Too Tall Jones, obviously, is there one or two that you feel like that should be in right now that Rick Gosselin and Shireen Williams and John McClain can start to help get in?
Do you not think Cornell Green should be included in that?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And I'll tell you, there's people like John Nyland that played so good for us. We were very fortunate to have so many great players and so many great people. And, Ed Jones, he dominated while he was there. Chuck Howley, only man to play on be an MVP of a losing football game. A Super Bowl, I should say. You can, whichever one of those you pick, you make one happy, you make 10% of the fans happy because the other 90% think it should have been elsewhere.
Gil, thank you very much. Glad you're doing better. We love you, man. Thanks for your time.
Okay, David. Always happy to be on with you and your great show. Keep up your work and keep going to the Super Bowl. You'll be the leader in the clubhouse for the most consecutive Super Bowl appearances now.
Thank you for your time. And, of course, he was a part of the great run of the Cowboys. Gil Brandt, Pro Football Hall of Famer, gotten to know him. He is just phenomenal. He really is. He broke his leg, and he's going through the rehab. I spoke with his son, Hunter, earlier today. I talked to Gil yesterday, and he said, today's not good, maybe tomorrow. And he had rehab earlier today, and Hunter said it was a pretty, rehab when you're trying to bounce back, and Gil's in his 80s. I mean, he needed to kind of chill a little bit. He said, hey, let's do 5 o'clock today. We always appreciate the time we can have with Gil Brandt. There's a lot of things at the start of the show. We gave you the Baylor schedule. We popped that up a couple of different times. If you want to still text us on that, 254-339-1122. Tyler Holcomb joined this show. We busted it that he was leaving Riker. He didn't want to leave Riker. If you listen to Tyler Holcomb in the interview we had with him earlier today, pretty much near the top of the show, I don't know what's going on at Riker. Tyler Holcomb didn't want to leave after 2 years there. He wanted to stay and finish whatever he was building. Played for the state championship. And, yeah, sometimes because of COVID this year, their record didn't look that great. Lost to St. Paul in the championship game pretty badly. But something's going on there. And from what I can tell, and if you read between the not only lines but the words from Tyler Holcomb, there's a clash somewhere within administration. And I don't know if it was what Tyler was wanting to do or what Riker wants to do or who others who can get involved in influencing administrators as parents or whatever. This doesn't make any sense. And he can be as nice and classy as he wants to be by saying, I get to spend more time with my kids and family, and that's great anytime that someone says that. But something stinks here with Tyler Holcomb resigning right after he took his team to a state championship. Yeah, they're losing really good people. They're losing Jake Boozer and Eli Cummings, among others. And there's some others that I'm not going to mention. I don't have the depth chart in front of me. We did the games. We know who was pretty good. We did their playoff games until the championship game because TAPS, for whatever reason, does not allow local radio to do the championship games, and that's stupid too. But Tyler Holcomb's out. I would bet he's already been contacted or will have been contacted by the end of the day from some that might want to see if he's would join their staff, whether he's a head coach again anytime soon. I don't know. But good luck to him going forward, and Riker needs to they need to figure out what they want to be. And I'm not saying to interrupt anything that they represent academically, but there seems to be a conflict or the butting of heads or some sort of turmoil in what they want to be when it comes to the football program. Don't ever let that lower your academic or religious standards. But something stinks with Tyler Holcomb today resigning after just 2 years. And he said it. He said he didn't want it to happen this quickly. And then we made him I had to follow up with that. And you could hear the emotions in his voice. This is SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, earlier this week, Baylor Athletic Director of Athletics, Mac Rhodes. We know the football schedule came out earlier today. We've discussed that at length on multiple occasions. We've kind of been able to pick and choose what you think is the best part of it, what may not be, what's the challenges, what's the minimum wage of wins and losses, or what might be they might get to here. We've done that. Obviously, men's basketball remains in the pause with 5 games, and then the possibility, no matter, we don't know yet, which they should come out pretty soon about what happens with their game against Oklahoma State. They're supposed to be playing Texas Tech Saturday. That's not happening. West Virginia then back-to-back. We know that's not happening either. So Oklahoma was supposed to be last night? TCU last Saturday. All those games have been wiped out or postponed, and now they try to find a way to piece together making up some of those games, and you really do, the Oklahoma State is not part of yet the pause. So we had a really lengthy conversation with Mack Rhoades on Tuesday about what's going on with basketball, the pause, the protocol, what is the conference going to do about wins and losses, who's a conference champion, and then we get into some other topics as well. This was on Tuesday with Mack Rhoades. He does not discuss the football schedule. That's today. This is Tuesday with Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour, SicEm365 Radio, joined by Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. A little thing here or there on his plate. Some questions that we need answered. Let's go straight. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Rumors, speculation, rampant. That a week ago today, when Paul and I were not a part of the show, that you told both Grayson, you told somebody that Grayson and Craig, that was the best segment you've ever had on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, it was I thought it was a really good segment.
Me too, Mac.
If I'm the both of you, I wouldn't take it so personal, but
yeah, okay.
I mean, we've done some soul searching. I mean, we don't really need you guys, but that's all right.
We found out. I mean, we found that out.
They handled it really, really well.
Yeah, I know. We knew they would. That's why we could leave. All right. So, does the Big 12 have a minimum requirement on the number of games a men's basketball team must play to be a conference champion?
So there isn't a minimum number. I think the foundation of it, as you think about crowning a champion, will really be about the average number of conference games played by all Big 12 teams, right? And so, probably now, and instead of the 18, you're probably likely around 16. Is my guess yet. Hard to say without the season, but without the season, completed yet. But that's where it will start, and then there's at least a process in place right now that as long as you're within 3 of that number, that average, right, your winning percentage would stay the same. You wouldn't be negatively impacted in any manner, any fashion.
Do you feel like there's any chance at all that you'll use the week of the Big 12 tournament to actually extend the season to do makeup games?
No, not the week of the Big 12 tournament. No, that last week prior, yes, but not the week of the Big 12 tournament. As you know, some will play on Wednesday, and some will play on that Thursday. You could play a regular season game as late as maybe that Sunday prior to the tournament starting on that Wednesday or Thursday, depending upon your seed. But nothing that Monday or Tuesday.
How did you guys have the flare up? Do you know? Can you track that down?
Yeah, it's a great question, and any time the flare up happens, just to be really, really transparent, you take it personal, right? Because it's just I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's a good mark on the athletic department or the program, and we all look at ourselves, right? What could we done differently? I'll say that again, just our men's basketball student athletes have been really, really good. They've been really disciplined. They've done the right things, the social distancing, the mask wearing, no social gatherings. And so you scratch your head. And so, what as best as we can tell, and when I say we, it's our medical team, it's our doctors, it's our health and wellness staff, that more than likely we had a student athlete have a false negative, an antigen, false negative. And, get on the bus, and between the bus, the small locker room, right? We had this transmission of a virus, and it hit us pretty good. So we hate it. We obviously hate it for, first and foremost, the student athletes and staff who have the virus, and then we hate it for all of the other obvious reasons as well. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what we could have done different. I don't know what we could have done better. And I mean that sincerely. We've looked at it, but we've followed our protocols. Our student athletes, again, have been terrific. Our staff's been terrific, and it just happened. It's the world of COVID.
Mac, you mentioned that the conference tournament's still planning on being a go. What would have to happen for the conference to say it's not worth it and let's focus on Indianapolis?
Yeah, really, I think, you'd have to have, certainly more than one, but, I would say a handful of maybe it's 2 or 3. I don't know that number, but it would be, a number of teams that, wouldn't be able to compete because of COVID. It would have to be COVID related, and it would have to be a situation where teams just couldn't field the team.
Mac, I know there's always a bit of a shakiness with confidence during this COVID era, but I mean, with about the 2 weeks that these guys will have been off, are the feelings positive that you will be able to resume and not have to fret about, a third week or a fourth week of not being able to play?
Yeah, You're always nervous about it, right? It feels like it's a moving target. I would say that the and nobody's heard me say this yet, but I would say there's probably some nervousness about the Oklahoma State game. That's not one that we've formally had to postpone or cancel. But I think that one's. That's in the danger zone. That one could go either way. I feel pretty good, certain after that game and beyond, that we'll be in really good shape when you think about return to action, which means that you can now begin to do some physical activity, practice. You're going through heart screening, right? And then return to competition, 2 different dates. But when you look at both of those dates for those that have been impacted, I do feel pretty solid, pretty good about everything after the Oklahoma State game. And again, there's still an opportunity and chance to play the Oklahoma State game.
All right, for those who may not have heard this at the beginning, I was talking about like almost win-loss standings, whatever. If, in fact, you only get 3 more games in and you go 11-1, let's just say 11-1, and West Virginia...
No, why? Let's just go 12-0.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right, you go 12-0. But let's say West Virginia plays all 18 games, and they go 15-3. Do you win the conference championship?
Well, now I got to pull out my calculator. So
3 games up. They would be 3 games up in the win column, but you would be unbeaten and 3 games less, of course, in the loss column.
So how you would have to do that, right? Is it would factor on what are the average number of games everybody played. Okay. So even though West Virginia played, 18, and you said we played 12, right? What is that average number, right? And let's say the average number comes in at 15, okay? And so we're 3 below the 15, then we're not impacted, right? Now, if the average number is 16, okay, so now we're 4 below, right? Now we take on a loss, right? And so now it's winning percentage, our winning percentage versus their winning percentage. And so that's what's in conversation right now in terms of how you could determine the conference champion, given that not everyone may play the same number of contests. And we formalized a situation again with football where if not everybody played the same number of contests, what was the fairest, best way to determine a champion?
You would still win it, by the way. You'd have a 92% winning percentage compared to like 83 or whatever, right? It can get it's a lot of hypotheticals. I just think
a lot of hypotheticals, and we wouldn't have if we would have gone 11-1 like.
Trying to get lost.
I don't think Scott's going to appear on the show again. We just lost him. But now, you guys, I believe you released. You have anything else about the COVID or whatever?
No.
I got a few people who asked me about the season ticket. Are your football seasons now tickets now open?
Yeah, we started the renewal. I believe we started it on Monday, and so far, so far, just really positive. A high volume of renewals yesterday. So yes, I'm trying to remember what day of the week it is, but yeah. So we started yesterday. A high volume, great response. This year we get 7 home games, 2 non-conference plus the 5 conference. Now that we're playing at each other's site, the Texas Tech series, and so next year we've got Iowa State at home, we've got Oklahoma at home, Texas at home, Texas Tech at home, West Virginia at home. Then you throw in the non-conference BYU, and then Texas Southern, and so solid schedule with the 7, and I think people are excited about it. So the deadline to renew is March 31st, and so far we're off to a great start.
Was there any increase, and is there an increase because you're playing 3 more home games compared to last year?
No, we've kept in and again, I probably need to know this, but just with everything I've got going on my plate,
sure.
we've tried everything we can to keep pricing consistent. We have a Baylor ticket assurance plan. We're counting on having full capacity, but that's still too early to really, say that we know that for sure. And so what happens if we don't? So we've offered people a Baylor ticket assurance plan, meaning that, we'll have resolution options if for some reason we can't offer season tickets, but we're certainly optimistic and hopeful that we can.
Do you have a plan for how you're going to, is basically maybe kind of like you did with football last year, but how are you going to handle spring football whenever that date comes about?
Yeah, we haven't talked about it a whole lot. I think we certainly feel good about obviously having spring practice, and I know that we talked about it last week, but we'll have the spring practice. We need to determine the date of the game, right? But we would expect at least right now to have fans for that game and certainly play a game.
Mac, your men's tennis team has punched their ticket to the indoors. They beat A&M 4-1 over the weekend. You had the situation where Coach Boland was out and Michael Woodson stepped in. Just your thoughts on what they've accomplished, and I guess now headed to Champaign, Illinois, I believe.
Yeah, they've had a great year so far, and Michael and Isak have done a great job. Moving the program forward without any hiccups. Proud of them. A huge win at Texas at the time, and I think Texas was ranked number 4 in the country at the time, and we were able to beat them. Came back, had to play the very next day against a really good TCU. Lost there, but we'll have another chance at them. As you mentioned, the ITA Indoor Championships, right? That started off in Michigan, and then was halted because of what happened in Michigan, and they're having to go on a 2-week hiatus because of COVID, and then, getting the opportunity to play A&M at SMU, and again, fortunate to beat them. And so now off to the championship. So we're excited, and coach has done a terrific job.
You've got baseball about to start, softball I think this weekend. Volleyball's going to have this spring season because they were delayed. They had a lot of games they played back then. Now you've got this men's and women's basketball. Is this going to be? And not to mention, you have a lot of things, as you mentioned, on your plate. This could, and I'm equestrian, acrobatics, and tumbling. Is how do you keep up with it? Does somebody come in your office with a grid in case you have like 7 things that happened the night before?
No, it is. Spring's always crazy.
Golf,
and it's a lot of fun. But you mentioned it: the 2 golfs, the 2 tennises, right? Acrobatics and tumbling, equestrian, baseball, softball. It's a lot. And now you throw in COVID and you throw in volleyball and even soccer is going to play a couple spring contests. And so just trying to keep it all sorted out and again, blessed to have great staff who does a great job with all of it. And, should be a fun spring. And, our student athletes and our coaches and our staff haven't skipped a beat. I'm really proud of them just in terms of the successes and competition that we're having, where our teams are ranked, what we're doing in the classroom, what we're doing in terms of character formation and spiritual growth. And our student athletes, coaches, staff are getting after it, and just really, really proud of them.
Last thing, the Big Ten tournament's moving from Chicago to Indianapolis, which they're going to host the NCAA tournament. Has there been any discussion at all about Kansas City not being the host for the Big 12 tournament? Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, not at all. So okay. I appreciate the question, but not at all.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, and it was good to have you both back. So,
all right,
thank you, Mac.
That makes us feel better. Thank you. That's Mac Rhodes from Tuesday, and a lot of it about Baylor, the men's basketball, the pause, and the games, of course, and how many they can make up, how many do they need to make up, what's the numerically what has to happen for them to do this or that without having to give up wins or forfeits or whatever might be the case along the way. All right, when we come back, SicEm365 Radio will go back to the football schedule, back to a couple of more stories, but also Urban Meyer has hired Dylan Doyle's father, who was the strength and conditioning coach at Iowa, with a little bit of what is being said about that. Dylan, of course, a linebacker with Baylor football after transferring from Iowa when his father was fired, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The 3P Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the 3-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
By the way, Don Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Right now, cigar lovers, you have a 48-foot walk-in humidor that's loaded with all the great brands of cigars. You also have some CBD products if you're interested. And if you do smoke cigars or you're buying a gift for somebody who does, they have the humidors to put them in, the cutters to cut the tip of the cigar, the torch lighters to light them as well. And they do have the great brands, including the Cuatro Nicaragua as the number one cigar in the world inside their store, inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. Now, Jack McKenzie and Armstrong Sims are here. Paul and Craig out today, and we're not sure exactly, honestly, just being honest. We don't know what we're going to do tomorrow because of the ice conditions and the weather that could even get worse, especially when we get the sun now is down. And so be careful. We've talked about how we're all going to get back to where we need to go. And there have been accidents, and there will be more. And we hope to God that you're okay, because some of the video of some of the accidents in Dallas or Fort Worth it's mind-boggling. As well. So just be smart. I am normally what is known as an aggressive driver. Everyone that knows me pretty much knows that. I feel like sometimes people think of aggressive as being reckless. Maybe there's been a time or two and I've been that way, but I'm not making that in a flippant way. But I got a pretty steep hill to go down, to get on Lakeshore Drive, and then took a right, and there's 2 or 3 bridges you have to cross, small ones, short ones, on MLK. I got to make that trip back. I'm going to be okay. but be smart, be careful. And Jack, Jack and Armstrong, you guys are like trying to itinerary of how you're getting home because it's you got to go under 35. You got to go over a couple of places.
Yeah. We've been planning out our routes, and Jack's changing the route he usually goes on because of the bridge he would have to cross.
Well, here's the thing. We're right on the corner of 101 Elm Avenue and also Martin Luther King, right across from the Brazos River. So one, there's water around us, not only because of what's happening with the weather and Mother Nature. There's water in a lot of different places, which there's also bridges because you have to cross water with bridges. And some high areas, for example, right down the road on the way towards 35 in front of McLean Stadium. Under bridges sometimes can actually, believe it or not, be kind of a little bit dicey as well. But or just the regular roads. Out on the sidewalks where we are, there's no question we've seen ice even from before we even arrived today. So that's the part, the black ice. It's what I always worry about is not me, knock on wood, it's others and what they're doing. Irresponsibly or not being very smart, So so you guys have got your set.
We both have to cross the river, so we've been plotting how.
Like right here.
Yeah, where we're going to do that. At what point?
Normally I cross on 77.
Do you have to cross the river?
Yeah.
If you went down MLK to Herring.
You're going to have to cross it at some point.
Yeah, we are on the north side of the river. I live on the south side.
I live on the other side.
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to think. It's a little bit more, but it is kind of a bridge. It's not like one of the ones, like the one across the street. That's a little dicey.
Well, that is a little dicey, but I feel like it's probably one of the safest ones just because
it's bigger, thicker,
it's flat, not much traffic,
and we saw them sanding it earlier.
They sanded it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I experienced. When I say experience in a good way, everywhere I went, I saw. The one, in fact, I was going to tell you guys to go over. There's 2 or 3 little smaller bridges. Bridges, I guess, the overpasses, but they're shorter. I feel pretty good about that. But the pizza places that are shut down. I get it. I mean, there's no pizza. No one can be that hungry if you don't have enough food in your house that you can't eat because you can't get a pizza delivered to you. Then you're going to have to go out and go find what you're going to eat. But be careful with whoever you are, wherever you're going. Now, this story with Urban Meyer, who was hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everyone knows that Dylan Doyle, a linebacker for Baylor, who played pretty well for them this year. At linebacker, of course, Terrell Bernard was their best player, linebacker, and best defensive player. But Dylan Doyle was at Iowa. He left Iowa because his father was the strength and conditioning coach, and he was fired. Because he was accused of making racist remarks, belittling and bullying players. So any of those 3 in today's America, or maybe any time, is enough to probably get you fired. So there was always the thought, and I'll be honest with you, there was a thought, would Baylor bring him on at some point? Remember, they had a strength and conditioning coach change, Corey Campbell. They've already hired Vic Valoria from LSU, who also was at SMU. My thing with Baylor is they don't have a lot of room for error when it comes to backlash for obvious reasons. And even sometimes when they haven't earned it of late, they're still going to get it, right? So I didn't think that Chris Doyle, Dylan's father, would be the hire, even if he's really good at what he does. So Jacksonville's Urban Meyer has hired Chris Doyle. And, of course, sometimes people who make a lot of sense they're outraged. Cancel culture, right? Like that Chris Doyle should never should do anything the rest of his life. And there's a double standard with that. With who's allowed to say something or do something and yet still be given opportunities. We've seen that in the coaching profession as well. So Meyer's decision to hire him as the director of sports performance came in light when the team announced his 28-member coaching staff. He confirmed that he hired Charlie Strong, former Baylor and Texas and Louisville football coach as well, and USF, right? Meyer said he researched Doyle, had some intense conversations with him, and is confident there will be no problems. He quotes here. He's a quote. I vet everyone on our staff, and like I said, the relationship goes back close to 20 years. And a lot of hard questions asked. A lot of vetting involved with our staff. We did a very good job at vetting that one. I met with our staff. I'm going to be very transparent with all of the players like I am with everything. I'll listen closely to learn. Also, there's going to be some trust in their head coach. We're going to have to give them the very best of the best, and time will tell. The allegations that took place, I will say to the players, I vetted him. I know the person for close to 20 years. I can assure them there will be nothing of any sort in the Jaguar facility.
Here's my thing with this hire, is that not only is Doyle needing to get his second chance, but Urban Meyer's already used his one chance of having someone on staff. This is Urban Meyer's second chance with Zach Smith in Ohio State and Florida. Like, you can understand why people might start questioning it or a bit hesitant to accept it, because it's not just one guy's second chance. It's Meyer using a second chance for himself, bringing on another guy that has had these kinds of issues, these like really important societal issues in his past.
He was the highest paid strength and conditioning coach at $800,000. Of course, that's probably $1 million somewhere now. He received 15 months salary, about $1.1 million, and awarded benefits from Iowa for 15 months until he found employment elsewhere, which now, of course, he's been hired by Jacksonville. Will you think he'll ever get to that point where he's actually going to be on? He's on staff. He's already probably signed a contract. They've hired him. They've announced his hiring. We have a culture now that will not want him to ever work the rest of his life. Or is it that he doesn't need to be around any student athletes? Or these are NFL players.
It depends if any of those players speak out on social media.
Oh, I'm sure that will happen.
Then if enough of them start doing it, I don't think he's going to.
Because social media runs America now, right? Doesn't it? It runs everything.
It does.
If social media is pissed off enough and enough people are mad, then we've seen, many examples where that's run somebody out of a job. In some cases, it's actually led to people earning or learning, about some things that maybe they didn't know, or maybe someone wasn't stern enough, or maybe someone who should not be working was still there. Yet again, I just think I do think there's cancel culture is dangerous. Like, it's not that you don't want somebody to ever work again. You almost want them to bleed out of their left earlobe. Like you want to see bloodshed, right? And yet again, that doesn't happen with everybody. There's, oh, no, wait a minute, he's pretty good. He's a pretty cool dude, What do you think, Armstrong?
I have no thoughts. I agree with everything you just said. I think, I think it's a problem, but it's hard because sometimes, not most of the time, but sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes something comes to light, like you said, that should, have an impact. But then we take it and just blow that up to the max. And now every time it's just any little thing they said. And maybe sometimes it's not even bad. It's just something you disagree with. It's not, not even morally wrong or anything like that. And they're out of a job.
Myers said he doesn't believe there will be any problems between the players and Doyle. He's not concerned about Doyle's presence. Could hinder the Jaguars' chances of attracting free agents next month. If I was, I wouldn't have hired him. I'll explain that. That if it becomes a question mark, the one thing I'm confident is I would imagine within a year or two we'll have the best sports performance team in the National Football League. There's a reason Iowa with Kirk Ferentz has been steady. Very few blips, very few ups and downs. They haven't been elite, but they've won Big Tens. They played for Rose Bowl under Kirk Ferentz.
They've put a lot of players into the NFL.
Yes, a lot of players in the NFL. And they have had a strength and conditioning program there for how many years he's been there, that as a Nebraska, lifelong Nebraska fan, I'm jealous of, because they used to run the place. They used to run that. And yes, there were accusations about how they ran their strength and conditioning because of steroid use or whatever. We've heard that about other places too. But that's why Iowa's been good. Ferentz is why they've been good, but also stability and their strength and conditioning program. Because Iowa's not going to get the guy out of Miami that's a 4-star, 5-star running back. Not many of them. They have to create their talent, or they have to mold it. They have to find the right fit. I think that's what Matt Campbell's doing at Iowa State. That's what Matt Rule did short term at Baylor, what Art Briles was doing, and now what Dave Aranda hopes he can do. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. I really don't.
If I had to lean one way, I'd probably say he doesn't make it to the season.
I would. No,
I'm expecting a big backlash.
Based on trends, based on we can't play the ESPN. Can we play the audio? Because we're not. I don't think we can. I don't think we should. But Keyshawn Johnson, who I really like. Keyshawn Johnson, I had a chance to get to know not Keyshawn Johnson as a friend or anything like that. But I'll never forget, I've told this story maybe a couple of times in the last 20 years. We're in Wichita Falls. No. We're in Oxnard, okay, covering Cowboys training camp. And I used to have this tremendous setup where we had a smoker and we had an RV. They let us have almost like our own little parking area. Now you can't do that. The access is so much different. But we would have players come by, coaches come by, and have, whether we had brisket or sausage or fajitas, the chili that I make that has the Bama grape jelly in it and all the stuff, whatever the hell it's called. And one time, Keyshawn came by. I'll never forget, because Clarence Hill, who works for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, was there. He came by and started having a conversation with us. This was in the evening, maybe after team meetings, I can't remember. And we didn't talk much football. You know, we talked about business. And I think Keyshawn has always been an incredible businessman. I bet if you look at his portfolio, it's very impressive. Southern Cal, great education, hell of a football player, right? I've always liked Keyshawn. I've always thought that he's level-headed. I've never thought of him as a clicks and views guy. He's pissed about this hire. He said he was excited about the hire of Urban Meyer, and now all of that excitement is gone. And he's not a clicks and views up and down the emotional roller coaster type of guy. So I don't know. So when he said that, I listened a little more intently than somebody that's always just yapping, you know? But, yeah, I think that Armstrong and Jack in 254-339-1122, I think that because of where we see these things usually go, that he'll never make it. He might work for them, but he'll maybe never be there by the time they hit the summer and training camp. Be interested. If he does, hey, go for it. And I know it's hard because his son here, Dylan, good player for Baylor. And I wonder how it affects him, right? So. Yeah,
I mean, I know I've heard my friends, Baylor fans, Baylor students be like, who know about his background, Dylan Doyle's background, be like, oh yeah, his dad was the, and you know, it's tough. That's something he's going to have to carry with him, Dylan will, and it's not just something his dad will have to carry around. But you know, hopefully this opportunity actually like goes well for Coach Doyle and he makes the most of it.
I wish. I hope he's learned whatever lessons he needed to learn based on what he dealt with or what he may have. There's no video or audio evidence, but when people come forward that you've abused them, bullied them, or you've been, and there's that word racism is the most damning thing that anyone could pretty much say about you, right? And so I don't know the truth. Not sure everybody, I don't know how many people do, but it'll be interesting to see how this, and it's Urban Meyer, who, as you mentioned before, has been caught up in controversies with a lot of players, 31 players who were arrested at Florida, took time off, health issues, gets the job at Ohio State, does well, then you have the Zach Smith story, gone again. So it makes me think Urban knew that there would be blowback, but he likes this guy enough as a strength and conditioning coach, Chris Doyle, that he's willing to take that on. And you would think, although Paul would disagree because he can't stand Urban Meyer, and a lot of people don't like him, that he must really believe in this guy.
Yeah.
Not to mention, he knows he can help his football team get better. Let's be honest. Like a running back who's had a problem, right? You give him more chances than perhaps someone else. I'm not saying that about Chris Doyle.
Yeah, Urban Meyer's a really smart coach, and I mean, if you're going to call him a genius, Paul's going to be over there calling him an evil genius.
Yeah,
but like he's got to see something. He's got to see it from a different perspective than some of the rest of us.
But even if Urban Meyer had not been caught up in a lot of the other things he's been caught up in, and he does have, there's a resume of, whoa, he's evil because he beat Florida State. Bottom line.
True.
All right, I don't know what we're doing tomorrow. Up Temple's scheduled to be on 11 to 2 with Drake and I guess JD for the hour.
Yeah.
When we have 3 to 6 with what we're doing here with the show, the original show we started back on April the 6th. I have a couple of guests. One of them is a Baylor assistant coach or someone who's in charge of a lot of what they're doing and handles a lot of their scheduling. So I'm sure we would get a lot of feedback from him about what they have to deal with and how this is being managed. Also, Tim McMahon, who covers the NBA for ESPN. And there's a couple of other interviews that we're excited about, but we just haven't confirmed them yet. Thanks to Josh Lomers, former Baylor center, Michelle Vopel of ESPN on women's basketball, Mickey Spagnola, Tyler Holcomb, who's resigned as AD football coach at Riker, and thanks to Hall of Famer Gil Brandt as well. Jack and Armstrong, do I need to follow you guys home? I mean, I will. I mean, I feel like you're in my nest. For both of you, thank you for being here all day. I'm David Smoak for Paul and Craig. Good night. Be safe on SicEm365 Radio.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.